The emotional hub of this film comes as Meghan moves into the spotlight herself.
I can see you're uncomfortable with my even going there. Do you?
I understand why you are, though. I wasn't expecting it, but I understand why you are.
And Meghan describes sharing her own suffering over suicidal thoughts here, describing it as taking a hit if it helps others. Although she does claim that I wasn't expecting that. So there's a slight look of surprise when the subject first comes up. The clip from their famous or infamous opera interview is shown. And then back in the current interview, we get to see Meghan's change in body language dynamic. The polite, gracious, closed-lipped smile is still in place, but in terms of her body language, there's been a subtle change. Her eye expression suddenly looks bleak. Her hand goes on to Harry's knee as though asking for support, but this could actually be quite a complex gesture because it looks as though she's looking for strength and support from him. But also he's beginning to look slightly wary at this point because clearly it's an emotional issue for her. And it looks also as though that her might be saying, no, it's okay, I've got this. So it's almost offering him reassurance as well. It's what's called a body language tie sign, which is a silent way of signalling between couples. It's probably the only really tactile thing that we see between them on this whole film, and that makes it even more dramatic at this point. Harry's response does look wary, and he keeps relatively still. There's no putting his own hand over hers. There's no offering a hug as she speaks. It's almost as though he wants to keep silent and help her quietly to get through the moment. So no reciprocal gestures, but you can see his anxiety levels begin to grow as she speaks about this incredibly tragic time in their relationship. And we see that him perform some anxiety prompted rubbing of the fingers and the thumb of his hand together in his hand clasp. His head tilts, and again, that's another gesture of potential wariness. And he begins to watch Meghan's face clearly and very closely when she's speaking, as though keeping an eye on that she is okay, that she's getting through this okay. Meghan performs what's called a wry smile with clamped lips to suggest bravery as this subject comes up. And she lets out what's called a small mirthless laugh. Her eyelids flutter, and this is it's like a staccato cut-off gesture, as though somebody's almost trying to protect themselves from the subject matter, or a little burst of adrenaline is causing the eyelids to flutter quickly. So that shows the growing emotion despite the kind of charming smile. And she performs 3 very exaggerated self-preening rituals. Now, Meghan will often move her hair around slightly, but here it looks like either what's called a partial cut-off ritual, as though she's almost miming wanting to hide slightly at that point. Or it might be a desire as a preening ritual to reassert her confidence and her control in that situation, and to ensure that her composure remains intact. She speaks about not being believed when she had her suicidal thoughts, and about what she's overcome in terms of what she calls my healing journey. And there's a small but telling pause before the word overcome, and it's almost as though she has to look for the word and check for the word. Her eyes look to the side and then back again, and then that wry smile of bravado deepens.